Students, today we are going to discuss the topic problems of syllabus improvement. Now, before then, starting this topic, problems of syllabus improvement, I wanted to tell you what we mean by a syllabus. Now, a syllabus which is related to different subjects only indicate the framework and amount of knowledge and facts which can be understand after learning that particular subject. How much knowledge of facts you will able to learn after learning that topic, after learning that particular subject. Now, these are the learning objectives related to today's topic. Now, the first one is to learn the concept of syllabus means you will able to learn what is the concept of syllabus means you will able to define the syllabus, the term syllabus in your own words. To understand the components of the syllabus, what are the different components of the syllabus? To know about the principles of the syllabus, you will able to know that these are the principles for the syllabus on which a syllabus has been established. Able to differentiate between syllabus and curriculum means you will able to differentiate that this is called as a syllabus, and we is and by this we mean the curriculum means you will able to differentiate between what is a syllabus and what is a curriculum. To give suggestions for the improvement of the syllabus, and as a student you will able to suggest some suggestions that these can be implemented in the syllabus for the improvement. Means you can suggest as a student, as a teacher, that in this way improvement can be made in the syllabus. Now, syllabus. Syllabus which is related to different subjects only means different subjects has different syllabus. It is not like that every subject has the same syllabus. No, every subject has a different syllabus. Indicates a framework and amount of knowledge and facts which will be imparted to people of different age levels. Now, that framework means the framework of syllabus indicates us that that amount of knowledge and facts will be imparted to the students uh, of different age levels. Means that this syllabus will be for the primary section, this syllabus will be for the primary section students who are studying English, or these are this will be the syllabus for higher secondary students, those who are studying English. So we are saying that the syllabus is a type of framework, and from that framework we will come to know that this amount of knowledge and facts will be imparted to the students who are studying in that particular grade. Now, syllabus is a contract between faculty members and their students. Now, what is that? That it is a contract between the teachers who are teaching that particular subject and the students, those who are learning that particular subject. Designed to answer students' question about the course means the syllabus is defined, designed, created in such a way that it is able to solve the questions which are arises in the mind of the learner related to that particular subject, as well as inform them about course expectations. What are the expectations of the course uh, can also be known to the students from the syllabus. Syllabus ensures a fair and impartial understanding between the instructor and the student. Now, what they are want to say that as when we are saying that a teaching learning process has been going on, that teaching learning process is going on the basis of the syllabus which the teacher is going to teach. So syllabus ensures that a fair and impartial understanding between the instructor and student is going on during the syllabus. A vital for expressing accountability and commitment. Now, what is that? That a syllabus is a type of uh, a vehicle which is expressing accountability, that after going completing this syllabus the student will able to learn that amount of knowledge, that amount of facts and a commitment that a student will able to learn that amount of knowledge and that amount of skills. Syllabus is typically created by an individual teacher. Now, who is creating the syllabus? Who is designing the syllabus? The syllabus is designed or created by an individual teacher who is teaching that particular subject. So, it focusing on a particular class. Now, what we are saying that the syllabus is being created by the individual teacher means the teacher who is teaching that particular subject. Now, he will create the syllabus keeping in mind to whom he is going to teach. Means if he is going to teach a primary section or he is going to teach a secondary section. So, keeping in mind that particular section to whom he is going to teach, in keeping in mind that grade, that students, he will prepare or create his individual syllabus. It offers an overview of the goal of the courses so that students know what is expected to them by the end of the term. Now, what are the learning objectives? What are the outcomes which are necessary after completing the syllabus? Means you will able to know that these objectives should be fulfilled after that syllabus has been completed. Means if we are talking about that after completing the syllabus of English, you will able to learn these concepts of English. After completing the syllabus of curriculum development, these topics should be clear to you. Means if that topics are clear to you, then only the goal of the course has been achieved. Now, syllabus development principles. There are different principles on which a syllabus has to be developed. Now, we are discussing some principles on which a syllabus will be developed. The first one is principle of utility. Now, what is that? That any subject which is being taught to the student must be useful to the students in their daily life. For example, if I am studying you mathematics, I am teaching you mathematics. If that mathematics will helpful you to apply that knowledge which you have gained through them, then only we will say that principle of utility has been established. For example, you are in mathematics, you are teaching them addition, you are teaching them text, uh, you are teaching them subtraction, and this type of knowledge is helpful to the learner to apply that knowledge in their daily life. Then we will say that the principle of utility has been achieved. So first thing is that syllabus should be useful, should be have some utility for the learners. Now, the knowledge which is applicable in daily life is everybody's necessary. You know what is that? The knowledge which you are gaining should be applicable in your daily life. If that knowledge is not applicable in daily life, then that knowledge has no utility, no usefulness. Now, next one is principle of flexibility. Means while we are constructing the syllabus, we should be flexible. We cannot be rigid. We should flexible in the means that when we are creating a syllabus, we should keep in mind that what are the needs of the students, what they want, what are their interests, what their are habits. So when we keep all these things in mind, then only we will able to create a flexible syllabus. When we are not creating a syllabus which is child centered, then what will happen? It will be a rigid syllabus because the teacher will not change his teaching methodologies, teaching techniques according to the interest and needs of the learner. Now, flexibility means that syllabus where a child gets education is according to their interest, age, and wisdom. Now, what did they are say? That by flexibility in the syllabus, we means that when a child is getting education uh, according to their interests, what are their interests, age according to the age, and the wisdom. then only we will call that it is a flexible syllabus. And while creating a syllabus, we should keep in mind that the principle of flexibility should be attained. In this curriculum is child centered and not subject centered. And when we are creating a syllabus which is keeping in mind the interest, age, and wisdom of the learners, then what will happen? That syllabus, that curriculum will be a child centered curriculum and not a subject centered curriculum or the syllabus. Now, next is principle of activity. Now, what is that principle of activity? The syllabus should be designed in such a way that the students will learn by doing some practical works. Means we should focus on learning by doing. That type of learning will be permanent for the students. The structure of content should be practical, means that knowledge which has been gained by the student should be practical, means he can use the practical knowledge of that work, by which people can achieve the real knowledge and happening while working. Means all the knowledge should not be theoretical only. The student will We should create syllabus in such a way that the practical knowledge should be attained by the student, and that will be attained only when learning by doing. And that's why they are saying that by principle of activity they mean in which the people can achieve their real knowledge and happening while work, means they will learn while doing something, and it should not focus on theoretical. Principles of training for leisure. Now what it means, that our syllabus should be created in such a way, it should be formulated in such a way that the student can maximally utilize their leisure time. Now, during the formation of syllabus, means during the creation of the syllabus, during the designing of the syllabus, it should include some activities. Means some activities should be included in the syllabus in such a way that a student can utilize his leisure time also. By which a student can utilize his leisure time in a better way, in a better manner. Principle of psychology. During the construction of the syllabus, means while we are creating, while we are designing the syllabus at different levels. Now, what are the different levels? Whether we are designing the syllabus for the primary level, for the secondary level, or the senior secondary level, or at the college or the university level, should keep in mind the mental level, interests, needs, abilities, etc. of the learners. So now what we are saying, when we are constructing a syllabus at different levels, we should keep in mind the psychological principles. Now what are that? The mental level of the student, the intellectual abilities of the student, what are the interests of that particular age students need, what are their needs, and what are their abilities. Now we should focus on each and everything, then only we will able to create a syllabus which will be able to call as a syllabus which is based on the principle of psychology. Now these are the components of syllabus. Now standard competencies of the subject, means standard ability should be attained after learning that particular subject. Standard competency means the standard ability should be achieved. Learning outcomes, that these are the learning outcomes which should be attained, which should be achieved by the student after completing that particular syllabus. Learning outcome indicators. So what will be the learning outcome indicators? How we will able to judge that whether the learning outcomes has been achieved or not. Learning activities, we have to plan the activities for the completion of the syllabus. Time allocation, how much time uh, we will give to complete that particular subject. Evaluation, what will be the basis of evaluating? Resources, what are the different resources will be used by the teacher for the completion of the syllabus? Main material, now what will be the main material from which the syllabus will be covered? Now We will study the difference between syllabus and the curriculum. What are the basic difference between a syllabus and a curriculum? We often see that students are often of the view that syllabus and curriculum are the same thing. They are synonyms to each other, but it is not like that. There is a difference between a syllabus and a curriculum. Now, a syllabus for students means when we are designing, when we are creating, when we are developing a syllabus, we should keep in mind that it should be according to the needs of the students. When we are preparing anything which is related for satisfying the needs on the base of the abilities of the student, then we will say that it is a syllabus. Now, curriculum. A curriculum is when a curriculum will be designed, it will be a teacher centered, means we are focusing on the subject matter in the curriculum, and the child centered. It is not a child centered. Accessible for student means we can assess the performances of the students through the syllabus. Not accessible for students, made by teachers. Now, who create the syllabus? The syllabus will be created, the syllabus will be designed, the syllabus will be formulated by the particular teacher, keeping in mind the needs, interests, and abilities of their students. Developed by school districts and college administrators, whereas the curriculum will be designed by the curriculum makers or the school districts and the school college administrators. They are developing the curriculum. Descriptive list of the concept that will be taught in a particular class means we will decide that these topics will be covered in that particular syllabus. Guidelines set for educators that prescribe what they need to teach to their students. Now, in the curriculum, the curriculum makers will set some guidelines that these topics, these prescribed syllabuses, or these prescribed guidelines are given to the teachers that they have to teach the students accordingly, handed out on the first day of the class. Now, what is that? Then, when you come for the first class, the teacher will give you the syllabus. That this is the syllabus of your particular subject. Not seen by student unless by request. Now, what they are saying that when a student want that, ma'am, I want to see this curriculum of my course, then only it will be given by the teacher to the students. But this, when we are talking about the syllabus are handed over to the students on the very first day of their classes. Now, challenges for the future. The need to develop an understanding of holistic learning means we have to create a syllabus in such a way that the overall development of the learner can be made. We should not focus, our syllabus should not focus only on the cognitive aspect of the learners. It should be designed in such a way, it should be developed in such a way that a holistic learning of a learner can be possible. Now, what do you mean by the holistic learning? When we are focusing on the overall learning of the overall development of a learner, that is intellectual on the basis of the cognitive, social, and emotional components. Means all the components have been developed, then only we will say that that syllabus is helping in developing and holistic learning among the learners. Now, internationalization of education. Now, what is that? That our student who is learning in a rural area can also go to abroad to foreign countries for further learning or for the further education. So, our syllabus should be focus should be designed in such a way that it should satisfy also the needs of international levels. Means it's not only satisfy the needs of a particular area, but it should be designed in such a way that the syllabus is called as that this syllabus is a as of the international level. Greater emphasis on self-directed learning means the syllabus should be designed in such a way that the particular needs of particular individuals can be easily satisfied. Now, next is greater understanding of diversity in higher education means there are different interests, different ways of learning, different abilities. Means we have a greater perspective of understanding the higher education, that there are a diversity prevailing in the higher education and its impact. What will be the impact of diversities among the learners? Impact on approaches to teaching and learning, how the diversity will affect the teaching and learning process, how the teaching will be improved, keeping in mind the diversity of the learners, that there are the various learners. The diversity can be on the basis of their intellectual abilities, on the basis of their interest, on their habits and their abilities. Anything can be uh, made a student diversified from each other. Focus on classroom researches means we have, when we are talking about the syllabus, we have to focus on action research. Now, what is action research? The research which is focusing on solving the immediate problems related to teaching learning process to a particular class, to gain a greater understanding of learning strategies. Means we have to conduct action research as a teacher, that which teaching strategies can be employed, can be implemented by me, so that the learning of the students will be better. Now, next thing, action research can be done on the areas why the students are not learning that particular sub problem, why they are facing problems in learning that particular content or the topic. More research is needed on learning style. What are the learning styles of the learners? There are the different learning styles. A learner learns in a different way. So our research needs to be focuses on the different learning styles of the different learners. Enhance understanding of collaborative learning. Our syllabus should be designed in such a way that it should enhance, it should increase the collaborative learning among the learners, means they will learn in a collaborative and a cooperative manner. Higher education management must become more aware and accept the needs of enhanced learning and teaching. Means they should be aware and accept that there is a need of improvement in the learning and teaching when we are talking about the higher education. Increased use of technology means we have to increase the use of technology in the teaching learning process. If we are using increasing the use of technology in the teaching learning process, that will definitely make our teaching learning process more effective. The students will learn more better. Now, implications for a syllabus. When you are designing a syllabus, these are the certain implications when you are designing a syllabus for your particular subject. Requires substantial reflection and analysis in the planning stage. Means you have to analyze that content will be in your syllabus, and a reflection should be there, that these topic will be covered in the particular subject, in that particular subject of a particular topic. It includes goals of content, process, and product. Now, our syllabus should include that these are the goals of a content which we are going to teach. This will be the process. How will we teach and product. Now, these are the learning outcomes. It allows the the teacher, to engage into a scholarly approach to the knowledge and research related to the courses. Now, it engages students in the discovery of knowledge. The syllabus should be designed in such a way that every student should engage in the discovery of knowledge, to finding the new knowledge, the new concept related to that particular subject. Because it is a learning tool, means syllabus is designed in such a way that it should bring learning among the learners. It reinforces the intentions, rules, attitudes, and strategies of the instructor. It reinforces, it motivates the intention, rule, attitudes, and the strategies which the learner, which the teacher is adapted to make the teaching learning process effective. It is a learning contract that syllabus should be completed in that particular time between a learner and an instructor. Now, planning your syllabus. How you will plan your syllabus? Develop a well-grounded rationale for your course. Now, what is that? You have to give your justification why you are selecting only these topics in your syllabus. Why you are uh, selecting only these topics. Why you are focusing only on these topics. That means you have to give a rationale for your courses. Define and delimit course content. Define that in that particular grade I will only teach that much content to the students, means, and delimit course content, that my syllabus will focus only on that particular areas. Decide on learning outcomes, that these are the learning outcomes after completing this syllabus. The I will, as a teacher, I will able to achieve these learning outcomes among my learners. And assessment measure, these will be the evaluation techniques, this will be the measurement technique, assessment techniques that will be adopted by me during the teaching of that particular subject. Structure your students active involvement in learning. Now, and that is important, that we should plan our syllabus in such a way that our students should be actively involved in the process of learning. It means that they should not be just a passive listener, listening what the teachers are saying. They should be actively involved in the teaching learning process. Identify, to find out, and assemble resources required for active learning. Now, what we have to identify as a teacher, I have to identify that these are the resources which I can use to make my teaching learning process effective. To make my teaching learning process is such that the learners are actively participated in that process. Now, develop a well-grounded rationale for your course. How will you decide that these are the rationale for your courses? What are it core scholarly or scientific findings and assumption? Now, you have to find out what are the scientific findings. Because of these scientific findings, I am including these topics or these content in my syllabus. What are the main points of arguments? What are the main points on which we are argumenting? What are the key bodies of evidences? What is the course scope? What will be the scope of the course? What will the student get after completion of that particular syllabus? How does your course begin? How you will begin your syllabus? Why does it begin? Why you are beginning your syllabus in such a way, and where it does, and where it will end, and why it is ending in that way. What do you and your students do at the course unfold? Means what you will do, what teaching strategies you will decide to unfold your courses. What do you lecture about or lead discussions around? Now, on which concept, how concepts you will lecture about these, on these topics I will give the lecture and lead discussion around, and on these topics only your whole discussion will be around. What are the key assignments or students evaluations? Mean, what are the assignments, what type of assignments will be given by you to the students, and what will be the procedure or the techniques of taking the evaluation, the students evaluation. Decide on desired outcomes and assessment measures. Now, you have to decide, as a teacher, you have to decide when you are framing your syllabus, that these are the learning outcomes, and I want these learning outcomes to be achieved in a learner after completion of the syllabus. Examples of learning outcomes, in addition to the conceptual knowledge, means the knowledge of the concept about the topic, and technical skills, a discipline or a skill field. Assess and use resources effectively, that the teacher and the students able to use all the resources that are available to make the teaching learning process effective. Work alone and collaborative with others. You can design You can frame your learning outcomes that I will achieve these learning outcomes in such a way. You can focus alone also, and you can work in a collaborative manner also. You can collaborate with other teachers or the other faculty members to design that how you can achieve your learning output. Understand complex concept means difficult concept or situations, and now know how to resolve problems emerging from such complexity, and understand the complexity of this problem or situations, and try to understand how you will resolve such problems which arises from the complexity or this complex situation. Think and communicate. You have to think and you will have to communicate effectively so that every individual other individual can understand what you are saying. Using appropriate means you can use different means for communicating your ideas. It can be writing means you can give your suggestions, your recommendations in a uh, writing basis. Speaking, you can speak out. Listening, you can listen. Numbers, graphics, digital, multimedia performances means you can use any means to make your communication effectively so that other individuals can easily understand what you are saying. Clarify personal value, purposes, and goals. Now you have to clarify them that these are the values, these are the personal values I want you in the students. So values can be honesty. I want my students to be honest. That personal value I want my students to be developed. What are the purposes and what goals I will achieve? Decide on desired learning outcome and assessment measures. Continue. Critical thinking as a learning outcome, that your students can think in a critical manner. Course that teaches problem solving skill nurture students' metacognitive abilities. Now, metacognitive ability where they can think again and again on a particular topic means thinking, overthinking is called a metacognitive ability. Courses that teach problem solving skills means we have to identify that these courses will help the learner to learn to teach that how to solve the problem solving means these skills should be developed in the learner. The development needs of students are acknowledged means how the students are developing should be known and used as information in the design of the courses. Means we have to design our courses in such a way that keeping in mind that these are the developmental stages of the learner and these are the needs of the learner at that particular age. Teacher in these courses make standard explain and then have students learn how to achieve them. Means the student teacher will help the learners that we have decided the learning outcomes of yours, and the teacher will help the learners to achieve those learning outcomes. Now, the assessment process is connected to the learner world, means how the teacher will assess the performances of the learner. It should be decided, it should be connected with the learner's world, means in the situation in which he is developing or learning. Frames of references and values. Demonstration of learning indicate multiple ways to represent knowledge and skills and allow for attainment of outcomes at different points in time. Self-assessment is essential to the overall assessment process. Now, what they are saying that self-assessment is equally important as the overall assessment process. Means overall assessment process will be assessed by the teacher, by the other family members of the learner, but the essential assessment is very important when we are talking about the overall assessment process of a learner. Structure your student activity involvement in learning. Decide what topics are appropriate for what type of student activities and assignment. Now, you have to decide as a learner that these topics are very important, and to what type of student activities and assignments should be decided to achieve that topics. Means so that the learning of the learner should be there in those topics. Will your course topic tend towards a content or a process orientation? Which activities and types of product can involve students? No, means you are when you are planning, you have to decide that these are the activities should be designed by me so that my objectives can be achieved. Which activities means you have to decide that I will use these type of activities during my teaching learning process. And type of products can involve students in substance intensive work both independently and with one another, means they can learn that topics independently or in with the collaboration with other individuals also. What activities will help students to learn the tools of the discipline or field? Mean you have to decide, you have to design the activities that these activities will help the student to learn the different tools of the discipline. How can you develop a challenging and supporting course climate? Means a challenging and a supporting course climate so that your objectives can be achieved, that builds student effectiveness, specifically teaches interpersonal and collaborative skills and develop the capacity for lifelong learning. Means you will have to design, you have to plan the activity in such a way that the student will able to learn the basic skills, the skills of collaboration, doing work with other cooperatively with other individuals, and develop the capacity of for lifelong learning. Now, in this particular topic, we have understood the meaning and concept of syllabus, how syllabus is different from curriculum, and how you can improve the syllabus. Now, further for further reading on today's topic, you can refer these references. Now, Now let us discuss some MCQs based on the topic which we have discussed today, as the MCQs are the best tool to measure the most important learning outcomes of the learner. Now the first one, dash, is a contract between faculty members and their students designed to answer student questions about a course. Now, what is that which is work as a contract between a faculty members and their student? And it is designed in such a way that all the answers of the questions of the student can be solved up after that course. Now, the options are a. Syllabus, B. Curriculum, C. Content, or the option D. Topic. Now you have to select the correct answer from the given choices or the options. So the correct answer is option A, and the correct answer is syllabus. Now second, syllabus ensures a fair and impartial dash between the instructor and student. Now what is that? A. Understanding, B. Learning, C. Content, or the T. Topic. These are the options. Now you have to select the correct one. That what syllabus is ensuring a fair and dash. Now the correct answer is understanding. Now syllabus ensure a fair and impartial understanding between the instructor and the students. Now there will be a syllabus should be such that it should ensure their a fair and impartial understanding should be there between the instructor, the teacher who is imparting that knowledge, and the students who are getting that knowledge. Now the option C. Syllabus is typically created by each individual teacher. Now that who is creating a syllabus? The syllabus will be created by each individual teacher. Now who will be the individual teacher? The teacher who is teaching that particular subject. Syllabus is typically created by each individual teacher, so it focusing on a particular dash. Means when we are saying that syllabus is created by each individual teacher, then while he is creating his syllabus, it should focus on. Now the options are option A, class, option B, group, option C, individual, or the option D, period. Now you have to select the correct answer from the given choices. Now the correct answer is, students, the correct answer is A, and the correct answer is class. So when we are creating a syllabus, when a teacher is creating a syllabus for a particular subject, means when he is creating a syllabus for a mathematical for mathematics for a class 6, then he should focus on a particular class, means he should focus on class 6 students while he is designing or formulating the syllabus for class 6 students of mathematics. Fourth, Dash offers an overview of the goal of the course so that students know what is expected to them by the end of the term. Now the options are syllabus, B, curriculum, C, content, or the D1 is topic. Now, so you have the four options. Now you have to select the correct options on the basis that which offers an overview of the goal of course, so the student know what is expected to them by the end of the term. Now the correct answer is option A, that is syllabus. Now, syllabus give an overview of the goal of the courses, that these are the goals of the courses, and after completion of this course, our students, we expect such things from our students to be by the end of the term. Now, the fifth one, Dash is a vehicle for expressing accountability and commitment. Now, what is that which is expressing that he is accountable and commitment for achieving these particularly learning objectives amongst the learner? Now, the options are A, syllabus, B, curriculum, C, content, or the D, lesson. So, the correct option is yes. Now the correct option is syllabus, means the option A is the right one, that the syllabus is a vehicle for expressing accountability and commitment. Sixth, Dash should enhance understanding of collaborative learning. What will enhance? What will increase the understanding among the students about the collaborative learning, in which they will learn something, some topics in a collaborative manner? Now the options are syllabus, B, curriculum, C, literature, or the D, science. Now the correct option from the given choices is, the students select the correct answer, and the correct answer is syllabus, means the option A is the right answer, and the syllabus is ensuring, enhancing, developing, and understanding of collaborative learning among the learners. Decide on desired dash and assessment measures while implementing the syllabus. Now, the options are learning outcomes, B, outcomes, C, objectives, and the D1 is flexibility. Now, you have to select the correct answer from the above given choices. Now, the correct answer is option A, and that is learning outcomes, means decided on desired learning outcome and assessment measures while implementing the syllabus. While we are implementing the syllabus, we have to decide that these are the learning outcomes which I will able to accomplish after the completion of the syllabus, and these will be the assessment measures related to that particular topic of that particular subject. Now the eighth one, requires substantial dash and analysis in the planning stage. What is required when we are doing the planning for the syllabus? Now the options are A, reflection, B, interpretation, C, learning, and the D, analysis. Now you have to select the right answer from the above given choices. Now the correct answer will be yes, the correct answer will be reflection. Now these are substantial reflection and analysis is important requirement at the planning stages of the curriculum or the syllabus. Courses that teach problem solving skills means the courses which are designed, which are formulated in such a way that the students will able to solve their problem. Courses that teach problem solving skills nurture students' dash abilities. Now, what will that ability which will be nurtured by the students? Options are A. Metacognitive, B. Cognitive skills, C. We are talking about skills, or the D. Effective skills. Which is the correct answer from the choices? Now you have to select the correct one. Yes, students, the correct answer is now option A, and that is metacognitive skills. Means we are focusing to teach the student the metacognitive abilities. Now the 10th one, demonstration of dash includes multiple ways to represent knowledge and skills and allow for attainment of outcomes at different points in time. Now, these are the options. The option A is learning, option B is objectives, option C is thinking, or the option D is process. So the correct answer is the learning, means the demonstration of learning includes multiple ways to represent knowledge, means in the various way you can represent the knowledge which you have gained related to a particular topic, which is related to a particular subject, and skills, that these skills will be demonstrated in the students and allows for outcomes at different points, and you will achieve that type of outcomes after the completion of that particular topic, after the particular subject of that syllabus. Now, thank you, students. With this particular narration, you understand that a syllabus which is related to different subjects only, means the syllabus of mathematics will be different, the syllabus of English will be different, and the syllabus of Hindi will be different. And when you are planning, when you are formulating, you are designing a syllabus, you have to keep in mind that the syllabus should be designed in such a way that it should satisfy the needs of the learner, it should be according to the interest of the learner, and the most thing, it should be according to the grade in which the student is studying. So we are saying the, and the next thing which is that the syllabus is indicate the framework, framework related to the amount of knowledge and facts which will be achieved by the students after completing that particular syllabus. Now, and you will able to understand that there is a difference between a syllabus and a curriculum. These are not synonyms to each other. When we are talking about the syllabus, it should be child centered, and when we are talking about the curriculum, it is teacher centered. And the next thing we have which we have narrated today in the today's topic is the problems which you will face while designing a syllabus, how you can overcome, yeah, what steps you can take to overcome the problems which we face while formulating or designing a syllabus. And the next thing which is very important, the principle on which the syllabus should be based, means while framing the syllabus, it we should keep in mind that it should satisfy, it should based on the principle of utility, it should be based on the principle of psychology, it should be based that maximum students attain training, practical knowledge should be involved in activities. And the thing that after in the syllabus, it should be based on that principle that the student can maximally use their leisure time. So in the next lecture we will focus on how you can monitor the curriculum, why the monitoring of the curriculum is necessary. So thank you students, thank you so much. We will join in the next class.